Good evening, everyone. Buenas noches, and welcome to Spanish United Radio. Bienvenidos a Spanish United Radio. Soy tu host, Enrique Sanchez. I'm your host, Enrique Sanchez. Tonight we have we have a cast of special guests that are on my show tonight. Would you be kind enough to introduce yourselves to the audience? Puedes introducirse a todos, por favor, empezando contigo, Elizabeth.
Hi, I'll do it in Spanish and English. Buenas noches, mi nombre es Elizabeth Cuevas. Yo estoy en el elenco de La Nona y hice el personaje de María en la producción en español. My name's Elizabeth Cuevas, and I was happy to be in the Spanish production of La Nona playing María.
Welcome.
Buenas noches, soy Erika, and I'm doing the role of Maria in English.
Welcome.
Who's next?
You are.
You are Carlos. Go ahead.
When you see my face, I don't know who's in line. That's why. My name is Carlos Iraiz, and I am Don Francisco, and I play on both groups in Spanish and English.
Welcome. Next.
Hola, I'm Jose Manuel. I'm the costume designer for La Nona for both English and Spanish.
Welcome.
Thank you.
And who is next?
And lastly, me, or we're waiting for Margarita, but I am Beatriz, and I'm the choreographer for La Nona.
And you, Margarita? Last but not least.
Yep. I'm here. I'm the Spanish Nona. Soy la Nona en español o en castellano, whatever you want to say.
Bienvenidos al programa, Margarita. Pues, I'll start in Spanish and then I'll mix and match in English. Yo fui invitada por Lori Beth, que también es parte de Tumanis Tamales con Elizabeth, donde yo fui el año pasado. Y me gustó La Nona, fue un tragicomedia para mí, fue interesante. Primera vez que yo veo un tragicomedia que es de Argentina. Y Spanish United quiere saber cómo ustedes se envolvieron en la producción de la Nona, cómo les gustó y cómo ustedes ven ustedes con los personajes de cada uno del teatro de la Nona. Whoever wants to go first.
Can you repeat it in
Yeah,
English?
sure. Yeah, sure, not a problem. No, I wanted to ask, how did you guys get involved with the production of La Nona, the play? What do you like about it? And what is it that you can relate, or when you get in character of your particular character? So let's start with you, Elizabeth.
All right. I guess I'll start with the last question first.
It's all good.
How did I relate to the character? Maria is very much like the common mother, wife, who in our cultures gives up everything to provide for the family at all times, even if it costs her individual personality and needs, and she just gives and gives and gives to everybody else, and finally makes a decision to, well, I mean, she loses everything, right?
Mhm.
She loses everything and then decides that, it's about self-preservation, and she leaves the
Mhm.
family to go with her sisters because, that's the only choice at that point. How did I relate to it? I've been married for 25 years, and I just brought all of that to the play, to my role, the good, the bad, the ugly, the children, the busyness of everything, the feeling frustrated and overwhelmed and all of that stuff. So life experience, definitely. The production, we all knew of the production coming up, but I believe we were all individually asked to be in it. So that was really great for all of us. And then we started off with improvisation, which was wonderful, and working with all these wonderful people like Beatriz and Jose, and just brought it all together for all of us. And for me, it is a wonderful experience because it's just been a long time myself that I did something with this much depth as far as the character and all the different things that were going on within the family and the political context of it all. It was just very, very, very deep. And every time we do it, there's like a new discovery, right? Of like, oh, this is what this means, and oh, this is the connection here, there, and everywhere else. I think every time we do it, we find like just a different meaning or different we just go deeper and deeper into what the author was trying to portray and represent. So
Yeah, I know that La Nona originally it was based out of an Italian family that lived in Argentina, Buenos Aires in the 19th century, but it was made in the 1970s during the political turmoil of Argentina's dictatorship. And what's interesting about the play is that you know, it dealt with a lot of, aside from the political aspect, it dealt with a lot of the social and economical issues of that time. So that's something that I really enjoyed about the play, and it dealt with social issues using satire. I thought it was very interesting and well written. Let me go to you, Margarita.
Actually, can I just jump
Sure,
in?
go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I love Margarita. She's for many years,
It's
but
all good.
I'm sharing a role with this incredible woman, Elizabeth.
thank
Like,
you. I'm sharing the role with an incredible woman.
no, but like us being the mothers in the situation, I feel like we represent the common man in this play.
Mhm.
Everyone else is heightened. They're all like like we are the people who are just trying to hold it together. Everyone else is a caricature, is like another level of just trying to manage every day. And this woman has been so generous and so loving and stepping into herself, like saying, hey, I'm going to create art. And I am too. And I'm going to say the most gorgeous thing about this play is that everyone is living this in the moment and feeling it and not denying all those things that come up with someone just trying to survive in the midst of fascism, you know, you know, and that's, I'm sorry, I just want to step in and say, like, she has supported me in a way. I do the only English shows. She does all the Spanish shows. And this company is an example of how we live and survive in the midst of all of this craziness that we're trying to like navigate with love, respect, and and just being present.
Thank you so much, Erica. I really appreciate your testimony.
And I just want to add, I've been doing Maria like a busy woman because that's how I am, kind of frazzled. And Erica is elegant and regal and present. And anyway, I admire that about her.
So good. Go ahead, Margarita. It's your turn to speak.
Okay. Well, I actually am from Argentina. I was born there. I grew up there. I saw the play in Argentina. I met the author. I brought it to the BFA. We played it the first time in 1994. I played Maria, the one that these two ladies have just talked about. The Nona was played as it had been done in Argentina and in the movie by Antonio Gasalla, who was a very well-known comedian in Argentina at the time. And I sort of relate to it very much not sort of, very much so, because I left Argentina in 1966 for 1 or 2 years. I've never gone back to live there, but in 1983, I did decide, I was living in Canada, and I did decide I wanted to go back to Argentina. And 1983, the military government was still in power, and my father said, "No, you are not coming back now." So that sort of relates to my situation with regards to this play and my life. And yes, the Nona represents that repression. This was a time when that government was throwing people, dissenters, out of planes into the river, into the ocean, alive. The conservative count is 30,000, 32,000 disappeared during those years. And as I say, it's the conservative count. So it was a very dramatic, drastic time. And I'm afraid that it's in a way becoming relevant again.
Yes.
In many parts of the world, including
Here.
Yes.
the one we live in. Thank you. So yeah, it's very, very powerful, and I'm very glad we're doing it again. I did meet Roberto Cosa at the time. I saw the play in Argentina. I've seen the movie, of course. And here we are, living it again.
Wow,
on many levels.
very amazing testimony and story, Margarita. Thank you so much. And you, Carlos, dígame qué es tu opinión de tu carácter personaje de Don Francisco, como Don Francisco del programa, which I think is very interesting. But what do you relate to your character on the play?
Well, Don Francisco is a very interesting character. We see a man who is lonely, who for years perhaps never got married, and probably he had a love of his life that was frustrated by La Nona, and never was it was never able to be with the one that he loved. So he becomes a lonely man with some money that he's able to set up a kiosco, a little shop where he, they use as survival. He stands out in the community because he probably has more money than anybody else, in the sense that the rest don't have anything really. So how did I relate to the character? It's the part of his life. I have chosen in many ways to live my life on my own. I am married. I have 3 children, but after 30 years of marriage, things didn't work out, and it was a decision that was made that it was time for me to be by myself. And not that I became isolated, because I was very involved in my school and with my students, and I felt that at that time I was dedicated to teaching to my children, if you want to call it that way, my students. But in this case, I relate to this man because there is some kind of a loneliness in the character that he is trying to overcome by the opportunity that Chicho presents to him. And immediately, as an older man, he thinks about someone younger, not necessarily what they're presenting to him, which is La Nona, but his first impression is that he wants to be with the youngest one. And of course, like I said at the beginning, when I was called to be part of the group, that I'm very honored to be with so many wonderful actors and learning from them so much. Every day I see them, I watch them, and I see how they develop their characters, and I see how they bring alive the words and the thoughts of the directora, Denise. And I I see Don Francisco as someone who is trying to reach some kind of a happiness, but the offer that is a woman who he dislikes versus the one he really loves, and the one that it becomes an opportunity, which is Martita, is a struggle for him. Now, this character is representing a man who is many of us in Latin America and in everywhere probably, who've been older, hope to have the companion of a younger woman without thinking about the consequences of the difference of age. And then when he finally meets back again, the love of his life, he's struggling between her and the woman that he would like to be with, fantasizing how it would be to be with her. And then at one point in time, Don Francisco looks at La Nona as a possibility, as someone that maybe this woman is not that bad. Maybe there is
Because you
something.
want her riches, you want her inheritance.
Well, yes, but remember that the dance is the dream that is unexpected, right? The dream that is there is showing that there's some possibilities. Now,
because you want her money, you want her wealth, you want her inheritance. You don't want her.
Yes, I'm coming to that. Please give me a moment.
No, I'm calling you out. I'm calling you out.
No, because I mean, within even if
It's romantic. I want a woman. No. You want her fucking wealth. You want it.
But listen, I'm coming to that if you give me the moment, right? Because even after all this fantasy, the reality is that, okay, he's in a fantasy that he wants one of these women he's already trying to figure it out. And in the dream shows that conflict of his mind. The reality is when the dream is over, he has to face that woman who he doesn't like. But there's a reason why he is there.
For
And
money.
the reason is, thank you, Erica. Thank you very much for intercepting here. If you let me finish. Okay. And that is the reality, that because of his ambition has led to what the consequences were, that he is destroyed by La Nona also. He's the first victim of La Nona. He wants to get is the one that wants to get closer to La Nona because of money. But in reality, the reality is that he's not there for the good. Thank you, Erika. But
Wow, she likes to interrupt.
yes, for real. You had your chance. Now, Don Francisco here is going through a transition, very beautiful transition as a character, because he's going from one who's lonely, who wants to be with someone, but the ambition is taking him into and pays the consequences of that ambition, which is not even, it is the worst case. He's not even dead. He disappears, which is becoming an unknown.
And then you get used. You get used. You are a tool. You are like something that gets used, which is, I mean, that's a conversation, right? Like when we see someone who can get attention and bring in money, and then people use that as a source for opportunity, like that's the thing.
What did I say there are the consequences of that, Erica? What did I say there are the consequences of that? I don't see her as a good man. I see him as I'm agreeing with you, but you're not seeing the consequences that I'm putting out. That the consequences of that ambition took him to the worst part, which is not dying, but disappearing.
If I may,
being unknown, not
and you
knowing
get
what
used, and you get used.
If I may,
ultimately.
what the playwright is saying, I think what the playwright is saying, that no matter who you were, or at that time, or what your social position or status was, if you were a dissenter, you disappeared.
Right.
That was
Right.
their aim.
And-
That was
and that's
their
what-
aim.
Or you got used. Or you
it-
got
it-
used.
Margarita,
it-
can you turn on your camera so we can see you?
But
Do I have
we know
to?
that, we know that everyone dies except Maria, not Martita. No, we know that they die, so we know we can say, okay, she died. We know that all died, but we don't know what would happen to Don Francisco, and that's what many families in Argentina are still wondering and hoping that maybe that son, that husband, that child will come back and will
Exactly.
appear, which is
Exactly.
worse
Exactly.
which is
That's what I'm
worse, which
saying.
is worse than dying.
He's just
Because dying
another of
is
the
happening in a home.
desaparecidos.
Right, los desaparecidos. And if you know that that person died, you can arrest them. But if you are a desaparecido, it's always that incognita, which is worse. That's what I'm saying, and that's what I'm leading to, that Don Francisco is that victim, in a way, under the character, that this ambition took him to the position of being un desaparecido. We don't know what happened to him. We don't know whether he's in a dumpster or he's in a trash or that somebody killed him. We don't know. And that's the agony that many parents have in Argentina nowadays.
And
Many mothers.
ultimately, that's what we're concerned about happening today.
Thank you. And the connection that we have with this play is that it's relevant not only to the past, but to the present and to every government that is a dictator that destroys their people.
Absolutely.
And here, okay.
I'm sapping silently. I'm sapping.
Are you happy now? but we have to make that connection, which
Absolutely.
if you don't look at the two aspects of the social and the political part can be taken apart. But when you look at the present time, the dictator that we have right now is what is happening. How many thousands of people are disappearing from the USA right now, and we don't know where they are? That's Don Francisco. We have mothers, fathers, children crying because they don't know that where are they? Are they in an island or are they in another country? Or where are they? There's the same agony the Argentinian mothers have been going through for years.
It's happening. It's happening all over again. It's happening all over again.
And history repeats itself. But I have it. What my if you want to call it in a way of positive thinking is that no tyrant exists forever, and that eventually they destroy themselves, which is what La Nona is doing, destroying herself, because now that nobody's
we are living with the tyrant right now, so we need to deal with that.
Okay.
Yes.
Before I want to make sure that Beatriz and Jose get to chime in here because they definitely brought it. They just coalesced it all together for us, right? Like
so Carlos, Erica, I want
of...
to tell you thank you so much for your input. I really appreciate it. So let's start with Beatrice and Jose. Before I continue, I am on a timer, so I just want to let you know in case we get cut off, I will send a link again so that we could finish because because I only have the 40-minute and I have to do it every 40 minutes. So if I get cut off, I'm just letting you know that it's not that I cut you off, but you know, I'm trying to fit in the space. So in case we get cut off, I'm gonna text you again, Elizabeth, the link to continue. So let's try to do what we can.
Thank you.
So go ahead, Jose, go ahead and put your feedback. What is it that you like about the play? What brought you to bring the costumes and make everything possible?
Well, what I really liked about the play is that it gave me an opportunity to research the decade. Like, we always think about the 70s and you think bell bottoms, you think palazzos, and so things come to mind. And so it was interesting for me to try to pull that together. Some of the pieces I managed to get online and look for it. Some of the pieces I made myself. And it was just really fun to study the script, get to know the characters, kind of make up in my mind what it is that each of the characters is kind of wanting to do, and kind of picturing in my mind what it is that they're going to be wearing. And I really enjoyed it. I mean, each individual character had their own persona, and I had to bring it to life on stage. And I think that everybody enjoyed it.
Okay,
Get
Okay,
lots of
okay.
compliments.
Can I speak?
Hmm.
be my
Um,
guest.
he made me feel so gorgeous in a way where like, okay, so in the early part of the play, I'm just a house mom, you know, like I'm a house I'm like, but I'm wearing things that feel good to me.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
and then when I lost myself, when that things hit the fan, I had things to like make me feel safe. And then I had a scarf or I had a shoe that made me feel grounded and present. That's the job of a costume designer, to make you as an actor feel like you are fully present, cared for, and you are in the moment.
Thank you
And
so much. Thank you, Erica. And you're right. One of the most rewarding things is to hear somebody say that my costume might have inspired something for you to do, or like you move in a certain way because of my costume, or now they want to change the blocking a little bit because of my costume, and it's something that's really rewarding to me. And I really appreciate you saying that, Erica. Thank you so much.
Yes.
And you, Beatrice, what is it about La Nona that, made you decide to be involved and to bring it to life? You were the choreographer, right?
Yes,
Okay.
correct. Well, I've always loved working with actors and developing their movement throughout the play, right? Because movement never dies. So there is a certain um, way that a character should move so that it can convey what they truly mean. Movement and body language, it's so connected. And so in a way is through movement. Like the first time that we met, I had them do that exercise of improvisation where it was different random tangos and Argentinian music, and having them move to it and what it evoked in their bodies and what it evoked in their psychology. Because at the end, they have to disrobe of who they are to become these characters in the play. And, I'm fascinated by that whole process of seeing somebody transform from who they are into their character. But it has to be achieved not just by the monologue and the words that they have memorized, but it has to be also by their body language. And that's when you really, I think, like Carlos does an amazing job. I'm not going to spoil it for the people that haven't seen the play, but it's like the physical work and the yeah, the physical work and the body work that he's done is incredible. And also we have our other actor, Daniel Restrepo, who I didn't know that he could reach the levels of movement that he was able to reach, dancing with, with Rogelio, with other actors. So it is so important. Movement is so important. And I love just being able to have dance throughout. That's one thing that I love about Denise Blasor and other directors. I'm very choosy when it comes to theater, who I work with, because I love I love serious good theater.
I'm
the
the same
theater that
way.
you the theater you will see in Latin America and Europe, because there's a lot of theater, but sometimes you wish more for the Latin community. So when the
Exactly.
opportunity and so when the opportunity comes, like I grab it, and Denise and I work so well and together, because she gives me so much background and so much depth that it allows me then as a movement artist to go there and grab what I
Beatrice,
need.
not to cut
can I
you
say,
off. Uh,
Beatriz?
can I say something
Beatriz?
real quick? I have less than a minute, so I sent you a text, Elizabeth. I'm
Okay.
sending a message to everyone, so we're gonna continue the conversation because I'm gonna get cut off in 1 minute. So let me just save this first part, and then we'll connect to the next part, to part two.
Perfect.
Got it. Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. Okay, Beatrice, continue where you left off. I truly apologize.
No, it's okay. So yes, as a choreographer and as a movement artist, it was for me it was so important to be able to capture as much as I could of like all the ideas and everything that the director, that Denise wanted and what she wanted to really say with this incredible piece of work that we have here, which is La Nona, where we had the opportunity to implement so many types of theater, so many styles of theater, from the grotesque to the comedy and a little bit of renaissance and movement and magic, and makes something that was so that it could be so dark lighter for all type of audiences to be able to digest. And so one of the magical things is that this particular stories need to be told, and especially for like the younger generations, and sometimes they don't have the maturity to absorb them or to
Right.
to process them, and then the movement makes it lighter and it causes an impact on them. Maybe this, I know the scene for one of our actresses, which is the scene with the red light. I'm not going to give it away, but where she's on the table and she's basically dying from all the horrendous things that have happened to her. I'm sure it caused something in the audience as they see and they hear the music and they see the movement. And children were in the audience and they watched that, and maybe they don't understand, but they understand that the energy behind that,
Hmm.
right? And
Of
so that's so
course.
important, because through dance sometimes it can be a cushion so that we can still give the audience these shocking moments, but it's not going to be so traumatic for them.
Right, of course. And with theater, unlike movies, the dialogue, aside from speaking, is also done through movements. So when people are doing
I'd like
movements,
I'd
you
like to
are,
add something.
go ahead, be my
I,
guest.
I, it's the first time that I've ever experienced La Nona with this kind of inclusion of the tango. Basically, there's a bit of other music as well, but it's mostly tango. And it really, I'm not going to say which is better or not, but it's amazing. It's beautiful. It works. And I love tango anyway, so
Mhm.
Well, it also,
no,
Margarita, it also works because you guys, as performers and actors, were so willing to play. Like, I never had resistance from anybody, like for me, it was amazing to be able to come to work and be
And
able to work with
Beatriz,
these individuals. Yes.
what you did for me, you gave me the space to love and experience a love with my husband and my daughter and my sister-in-law. Like this play was about love and a relationship, and that's what you gave us.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yes, no, like it takes two to tango, right? I can have all the
Or more,
amazing
or
ideas
more.
that I have, but if the
I will
actors
agree
are
with
not,
that.
if they're not willing to do it, then what am I going to do, right? So, but
Mhm.
they were so beautiful to work with, and it was like, let's do this, let's do that, let's add this, and it was just a dream. It was a dream to see them evolve and to just see the progression, right? So proud of
And
everybody, and
it's
of course
emerging.
with
It's the
Jose
merging
Manuel
of the.
yeah, yes,
Oh, sorry, sorry.
sorry, Margarita, with Jose Manuel, I have to say, because I work with him in other productions, so it's always such a joy when I know that he is the designer for the performers, because then since we worked together in the past, he sort of creates things too that are going to enhance my movement. Like, he now knows the movement that I like, so then he also sort of creates. So it's amazing to have that all of that coming. It's just beautiful. It's just the whole thing.
Yes, and your trust in us as actors who are not dancers, who are just gonna like take your like do this, do that, do that, and it was so important for me in the play as a woman who loved her family
Mm.
to have that moment in the tango with my husband
And you guys look beautiful doing it, the two of
Yeah,
you,
that's
Eric
one of
and Elizabeth. Yeah.
that's actually one of my favorite scenes is the tango scene between Maria and Carmelo. It's
Yes.
you make it, Erica, so tender and beautiful. So I thank you so much for your talents, because
No,
you really.
it's so important because we as humans have those moments of loving, having our best moments, our childhood, our young youth, or
Mhm.
whatever, like our falling in love together. Like you gave me that moment, Beatriz, where
Oh,
I get to be with my husband and remember that moment of where I fell in love with him and he loved me and he trusted me and I trusted him, and it's so important to have that moment in life, and then be challenged by those who want to take it away from us.
Mhm.
yeah. No, it's beautiful and everything. And of course, one of the most beautiful moments in the play too is seeing our old character interact with the three women, with the three
Yes,
generations, and that dream sequence where, he's dreaming of this young woman, but there's still this love and connection to the other character. And then there's the Nona, and then at that moment we get to see this Nona that is just so vulnerable and that finally puts away her food to sort of
Mhm.
introduce herself back into this. It's such a beautiful dream sequence between the three women and our male character. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
And
one
I'm
thing that I liked about
Uh,
what I liked about the play is that it dealt with all those generations. It dealt with the generation of also the men as well. At the same time, it was able to deal with serious topics and at the same time in a comedic way. And for many people that are non-Hispanic, they're accustomed to thinking of the telenovelas, which I think is not even real;
mhm.
it's just exaggerated. I think
Yeah.
uh, I think La Nona dealt with serious topics and at the same time dealing with it in a satirical way, but at the same time, taking a humorous approach on life. Like I remember there was this actor before he became an actor. He used to do play. His name was Brother Theodore. He was a German Jew that immigrated here through Albert Einstein. And one of the things that he mentioned is that comedy is a way of not only dealing with our pain and sorrow, but also laughing at ourselves. And that's something that
yes,
we need to
Yep.
have today.
Right.
We've
Right.
yes,
got it. We've moved from a society where we have laughed at ourselves and not taken it personally to the point where we no longer laugh at ourselves because we take offense to it. And
Right. Right.
personally, I'm going to mention my mom here real quick. There was a few scenes that my mom kind of felt that were kind of inappropriate, but other than
oh,
that, but
Ooh.
other than that, it has nothing to do with any of you guys. So
If I
what are the
may,
one or two
I think that's
scenes?
one of, sorry, if I
No, no,
may, I
it's
think that that's one of the most powerful aspects of this play, because it was produced in Argentina while the military were still in power. It was never censored. Um, and it's because it manages to disguise a lot of what was happening with very black humor, but humor it was and it is. So people who want to see it, people who don't want to see it, don't see it.
mhm,
And I
Mhm.
think that's one of the powerful aspects of this particular play,
right.
whether it's
Yeah, like
played
you can go
by
you can
men
go as
or by
deep
women. I
as you
suppose if
want.
you play the character of the Nona with men, it becomes a little more obvious what they're talking
Yeah.
about. But it still works. It still works to
Yeah,
get the
there's
message across for those who need to understand it and those who don't want to
mhm.
understand it.
From what I
There's like
from
so many layers to it, right? Like it has
So
so
many
many
layers,
layers, and
so
then
many layers.
like so many different people can see it, and some people will identify with just the dynamic, the family dynamics, the younger brother, the older brother, the spoiled
Exactly.
brother who gets
Right.
to be an artist, the older brother that has to be responsible for everyone. And some others will actually see what's happening to the society, just like even the set. You can see the
Mhm.
transition from the set, how beautiful this kitchen and this house is, and how, as time goes by, this kitchen is no longer the warm, inviting kitchen that it used to be, but is
Right.
reducing and reducing to expose
Mm.
this kind of poverty and lack of resources, right?
What I
Like,
what I understood from the play, from my perspective, because my background is in education, is that everyone was fed up with La Nona because she was technically eating everyone out of house and home. And what's interesting is
Yep.
that even though they try to get rid of her, they try to poison her, they try to do whatever, but at the end, she
Yep.
ended up
She
alone, and
survives.
she outlived everybody. And that
She
also teach
survives.
and exactly, and that teaches that also that the people that you least suspect that are going to pass don't
mhm.
pass right away. They tend to outlive everybody else. So I think it also teaches also from my understanding is to have compassion even from those that don't deserve it,
Right.
because like I said, we
Yep.
don't understand their background, and everyone's
Right.
life journey is different.
Yes.
And Maria escaped. She
She
left.
didn't die.
She left.
She left.
She
She
left. She
decided to
survived.
do some
But,
It
but,
makes
self-preservation
you
and
but
leave. Mm.
just one point about Maria. She is not blood related to the Nona. She's
Mhm.
the only one, and she's
Mm.
the only survivor.
The survivors. Yeah,
I
it's a
think
very good
that's
point.
important.
That's a very valid point, and that's a very good point. I don't think that
No,
we
we,
had
we
given.
escaped. We escaped. I escaped. We went on. We
Yeah,
lived.
but
And that's what
that's a
we can do. In our lives, we can say no.
yeah,
We
but
can say
Margarita,
no.
You made a very, very interesting point that we had not looked at it, or at least had come out in the conversations, that Maria escaped, and then she's not related by blood to La Nona,
But
which
we
brings,
escaped. We said
yeah,
no.
but yeah, you just mentioned the point, Erica. I'm saying that because, like Margarita said, there is no blood relationship, and that makes it something like a separate rhyme of a separate line of targeting. So I just
Exactly.
yeah. I just want to mention something that I mentioned at the beginning, the loneliness of Don Francisco, and just to clarify that even I've been by myself for a long, long time. Loneliness could be on one side not very good, and the other one could be very productive. It is how you look at it.
Mm.
And in this case, in my personal relationship with this character, I am an I've been by myself, but on my own choice, and I had really enjoyed my life as by myself.
Mhm.
His the moment come where I becoming with somebody else, that's another story. But I'm not a lonely man. I can tell you that. I'm very happy in many ways, and enjoy
Okay.
life in
I
many
can
ways.
relate to you. I can relate
Yeah,
to you, Carlos,
yeah,
Yeah.
because
yeah,
I am more than half your age, and a lot of people have pressured me, get married, get married, get married, and you know what? I was engaged to be married twice. Things didn't work out. I
yeah,
had a
yeah.
female stalker years ago that tried to force me
Oh
to be with her.
no, no.
Yes,
That's not
long
good.
story. But the point is that, like you mentioned, Carlos, and even though I am by myself, but I
Yes,
feel I feel that I've been more productive. Like for example, in Spanish United, with what I've done, being by myself, I've been able to make my organization, my foundation grow. I've been able to meet wonderful people, help a lot of people, reach out to
yes,
different people that
yes.
maybe I wouldn't be able to do if I was married with a
Excellent.
family.
Well,
So that's a good analogy.
yeah. Enrique, I am in the same situation. Being by myself allowed me to travel throughout the world and meet a lot of people that I would not done it if I had been with somebody else. Because then you have to divide your time between that other person and those that you want to be with. And especially if you understand the reason why you are by yourself makes a lot of difference than if you are by yourself and you don't even know why. And you start, hammering. Why am I by myself? A lot of people do that. Or
Mm,
even if you are married and you're married to someone that you really want to love, but you really don't love, and you're just hanging on because of the children. and you might want to create a history that,
Okay,
oh,
but the point is,
the point is that no, I'm not a lonely man. I connect with Don Francisco, that
yes.
aspect of the loneliness, but not necessarily that I am one of those.
No,
I
you're
that's
not.
wanted,
You're not.
yeah,
Because you're different. You have your own, you have a swagger. You're a swagger. You're good.
yes. I wanted to comment on something that you mentioned, Enrique,
Sure.
about your mom was uncomfortable with certain things and maybe felt like that was not appropriate. As actors, we ourselves were like, "Oh, that line's a little bit," or but as we got as we delved deeper into the characters and the play itself, we realized that the playwright was throwing in these little things, um, for maybe for comedy, but also commentary. Um, and they're there for a reason. They weren't there just gratuitously to shock people or anything like
Of course.
that. It was part of the
And
play,
if
and
I
there was a
may,
reason why. Yes, of course, there was just a reason why it was in there.
Yeah, my
Different
mom, my
Thank you.
my
yes,
my
and if
mom,
I
my mom,
may,
she's from a generation that's more conservative. So back then, from her generation, certain things wouldn't be done, even if they were implying it. So I guess that's, her reasoning. But at the same time, I understand that she comes from a different generation where
I don't,
it's more conservative.
Yes. Yes.
yeah, but
Yes.
well, then
Thank you for
again,
having us. Thank you for having us. This was a gorgeous night. Thank you so much.
It's my pleasure. That's
Margarita,
why
you
I
wanted
invited
to
you guys here.
respond?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Margarita.
well, I don't know how old your mother is, but I
She's
am
86.
well into, well, I'm 81. So I'm pretty close to, I would say we're the same generation.
Mhm.
Um, and I feel that every character in this play represents a specific uh, part of the Argentine society at the time. They're not necessarily, I mean, there is the part of the interpretation of the story that is the family, but at the same time, there is the bigger picture, which is that every character represents a part of the um, society of Argentina, particularly Buenos Aires, uh, at that time. So they,
Yeah, I can say
they're
too.
not necessarily altogether human. Let's say human in the sense that it's not. It's written to make it look like and make it sound like a family, and it does it very, very well. But at the same time, they are very drawn very specifically to represent what the author wanted to say about the political situation at that time.
But I can say too, because I come from South America, and I know that, for example, my husband at the time when we were dating, he was so impressed because he's from Central America. And he will come over to my house and he will hear me talk to my parents. And I was this like 11 or 12-year-old girl. And the way that we interacted with each other, my husband is like, this is not how we do it in my house. Oh my God. Like they will never. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like in Colombia, in Bogota, like everybody talks like this. And then I realized that there's also that even though we're the same, we're similar, we're all Hispanic. There's like these subtle differences, like kind of like with Spain as well, where
Right.
certain words in Spain, people will never dare say them in Mexico, but in Spain it's like the norm to say, to
Right.
call things how they are.
Same thing
So
with Puerto
that
Rico, same thing with Cuba and Dominican
so I
Republic.
find that with the Nona
Yep,
too, like for me, like
absolutely.
I saw when I was a little kid, I saw my uncles being rebel just like the characters in La Nona. talking back to my grandparents and being like, whatever, I'm gonna go out in my Jeep and I don't care what, like being that kind of a so it's like Margarita says, it's like a true reflection of South American culture and how the kids interact with their elders. There is respect, but there's also a way of like you start talking to them like they are your equals. I don't
I
know.
would
I don't know how
say
to explain it.
I would say Argentina, which is kind of unique in Latin America, like with the exception of Spain, Argentina is more culturally European.
Yes.
So they are more individualistic and more
Hmm.
educated compared to other parts of Latin America. So even though it's a Latin American play, the a lot of the interactions, the language, and the way they carry themselves is more the European part.
I
Yeah,
also want to say that I don't know if I've just said it, but the aspect of the music, this is the first time that I've ever seen or been part of La Nona with what Denise has and Beatriz have incorporated, and I think it's amazing. I
Mm.
really think it helps
Music is
to
so
make
crucial,
different
right? Like I feel that
points, and
music.
at the same time it entertains those who don't see the point. uh, so it has all of these different levels, again, more levels, Beatriz, more aspects, which are amazing. It really, really, really work.
Well,
Yeah,
his Hispanic culture in general, a lot of the arts involves music, so that's how people are able
Yes.
to relate and understand story, even if they don't understand the themes of the story,
exactly.
but by the music is a way to get people to be involved with the play. Like I remember
Yeah,
when we were there, the way Daniel and I mean, Carmelo and Chicharo, the characters, they were interacting with the audience was a way to get them involved with the audience. And that's something that I really liked because that's a way of
yeah.
bringing people
And
to
of
to
course
be involved in the story.
the tango makes it so Argentina, but at the same time, Denise has incorporated this other music that is amazing and it's beautiful. Um, and
Yes,
in fact, yesterday
my
I
mom was
asked
singing to
her,
one of the songs there from Argentina, but I think
oh,
it was by Carlos
there you go.
Gardel.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And
Well, I asked Denise yesterday for please make me a CD of the music of this show. And we should have done that from the get-go, and we should have been selling the CDs,
great idea.
which
Great
we've
That's
done
idea.
before in
that's
And
a
other
good way to
shows,
fund.
but
That's a
we
good way to
didn't think
fund
of
the play
doing it this
itself.
time.
And you said about the European influence, um,
Yes, correct.
and the Latin American like sauce is
Correct.
layered in
Right.
because in Latin America, it's all about resisting against colonialism.
Correct. Imperialism. That is correct.
And so that's what flavors everything.
That is true. That is true. 100%.
I
Uh,
like the food analogy, Erica. Since we have La
yeah,
Nona
that's gonna make me want to eat
Yeah.
churrasco and chimichurri.
Or choripan.
Yeah.
I love Argentinian food. It's
True.
one of my favorite Latin American cuisines after Puerto Rican and Cuban food.
Going back to
It's
La Nona,
pretty
this
good.
is one thing that is like you have to wonder what was the Nona like when she was young,
She
and
must have
how did
been she must have
how
been a
did she get
very
right, and how
Yeah.
did she get to be who she is now with this hunger and this anxiety and this thing and this selfishness and just being so me. Where?
Well, but
Why?
that's the whole dichotomy of the play, is that if you look at it from the family aspect, it's one thing. When you look at it from what he was intending,
Yeah.
the playwright,
Yes.
from the political aspect, it's very obvious that she's just the tyrant,
She's
the
the
tyrant that
tyrant.
we all succumb to,
It could
that we
also
all succumb to.
it could also be represented as a metaphor that maybe when she was younger, she wanted to live life her way, but
Yes, but that, as I
tra
say, that's if you look at
tradition,
it
yeah,
as a human connection to La
Yes.
Nona.
Yeah.
tradition,
To
But
La
she's
Nona.
not
tradition,
necessarily a human being. She's
right?
Yeah.
not.
Yeah.
I'm
She's
just
an
saying,
entity.
but I'm just saying
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
tradition and family pressure caused her to get married young and have children young. But like what Beatrice was saying, as she got older, she
And then she's
became
getting
more
her revenge
she
on the
became more
family.
autocratic and despotic.
But
Hmm.
also, but if I may say, but also the old custom that the mother retains in one way or another the older daughter, so they eventually will take care of her, is something that is something old tradition, right? But it still was
Yeah.
there. That and then living together. This is a big house. Carmelo decided to bring his wife to his mother's home. Okay, so this is the old way they used to be, and
Hmm.
perhaps maybe the Nona used to belong to a wealthy family because they have a big house. Okay, according to the description, they have a big house,
Yeah.
very valuable. They're able to sell it. They're able to the hipoteca en el banco, the
Hmm.
mortgage. So that means that perhaps she came from a wealthy family, but at the same time, at one point in time, she loses the husband, and
Yeah.
to retain as the daughter, Arjula, to eventually take care of her. But in this case, not only Anjula, but Maria and Carmelo and and Chicho. But she's holding on to whatever she initially wanted to have as a grandmother, as a mother,
Hmm.
and as a grandmother. So this is the old way. If you look at the family aspect, we're
Hmm.
looking at the old tradition of a Latino familia, right?
Yes,
You don't put your grandma or your mother into un casa de viejos, but
right,
you keep it in the home and you take care
exactly.
of her until the last day. In this
Hmm.
case, it didn't work, and she's the one that took care of all of it, right? But 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 we're looking at the tradition of the Latino familia, right?
Hmm.
And it
It's
was
just
really important for the director to bring this production right now in the current times that we're living
Hmm.
in. And she wanted to make a commentary on, how history is repeating itself and what
yeah.
should we do before we get to a state such as what we just presented, to the audience. And it's very personal to her as it is to all of us.
Hmm.
How important it is to drive this message to, for people to
Actually,
see,
if I may, that was a coincidence because the play had been chosen before the government
Oh,
of
really?
this country had been elected. The play had already been chosen for this season
Hmm.
before the
So there was
powers
no.
that be came to being.
but the
So
current
it's so
administration was the
initially,
administration
if
prior.
you if
So
you if you remember initially, Denise, her dissertation before we even started rehearsals was that we were presenting this play and the family, and if people wanted to see the political aspect to it, okay, fine, but it wasn't necessarily her bent that
I
was
see.
what was being done. And
That's interesting.
then when what happened with the government of this country, then it started being okay. If you want to see this, you see this. If you want to see that,
Hmm.
you will see that.
Hmm.
But
I
that's
mean,
interesting that this was proposed even before this happened, which is really interesting because
yeah,
we already had the person in charge right now previously, and we knew that something
yeah,
like this was coming up. So, but it's interesting that you mentioned that there was no connection. There was no regional connection
Not
between the
originally.
political aspect. That's
But
very
when we
interesting.
did La Nona in 1994, there was, I mean, Galban did it because Galban came from Cuba originally. And so she had a very political view of almost everything she
Sure.
ever directed at BFA. So, but it wasn't because there was a situation happening in this country like is what is happening today, is what I'm saying.
Mm.
I
You're
mean,
making
it's
a
all,
good point that all of the plays presented at BFA, especially under Margarita Galban, had a political bent, had a purpose, had a message,
yeah,
had
Usually.
a driving
very
force,
much.
right?
Yep,
And so theater has
absolutely.
always been heavily involved in the politics and vice versa. And politics to me is people. It's not, politics is not up here and let's not talk about it. Politics is people. It's what's happening today. It's
Right.
whether you get to eat. It's whether
We
you
make
get
the
to have a
difference.
job
We make the
today.
difference.
It's whether you can leave your house because it's not, if it's safe or not safe, right? So I'm glad you mentioned it because I mean, art is art, and if that's what we want to express, we have the right to express it without
Right.
This is why
And
people need to come and see this. It's so
Yes.
important. And we only have one more weekend left. This is
One
it.
more weekend.
One more. That's it. So if they don't come this weekend, they missed it and they missed something that is amazing.
I will definitely promote La Nona to my listeners in Spanish United, and also to encourage them to be more and to be more involved in theater, because again, like I mentioned, theater is a different dynamic on its own, where it's not just you act behind a camera, but you're actually doing a show with a live audience. So
And
it's some
anything can happen, you know? That's
anything
the
can
magic of
happen.
it too.
And
You know,
it
people
And,
has.
can improvise. People can
and if
improvise. People
you,
could make up their own lines.
Or
and
people
if
can
you
be
No, but
go
vague.
into the
no, no,
history
but
of theater, it
no,
has
but
always been political from day one with the
yes,
Greeks, with the Romans,
yes.
with
It's
all of them throughout
it's
history.
Or the
Theater has
Chinese.
always been about a platform for expression, for dissent, for information, for whatever.
it
Politics,
is
religion, you
So they,
name
so
it.
yes.
they,
It's good, it's
so they,
It's
bad,
a
it's
healing.
indifferent,
go
but
ahead.
it's
It's
there.
it's
It's
healing
there.
for the nation. It's healing for the world. And this weekend we had children, teenagers weeping, like having like emotional responses to everything because they got
Yep.
to like let out their emotions in this moment. It connected. And that's what theater does. And that's our whole purpose.
Yes.
Like to let people have their moment and connect and be present.
People have to learn to be human, to express their feelings, to speak, and to just resonate with what's being shown, because I feel that's the way that, like you mentioned, people can bring healing, they could bring peace to the world, they could bring positive change, not necessarily politically, but it could be done through, like you said, through arts, through theater. That's the way that people can reach out
All
to one another.
theater can reach at all levels. It depends on what you're
Absolutely.
trying to say and how
That's why,
you're trying to say it.
yeah,
And
let me say this. That's why I'm a little bit surprised that Denise didn't foresee the political aspect in connection with this country, because if
Oh, she
FBA had
did.
always,
She did.
she
She did,
did. I
Carlos.
said
I
she
She
know,
did.
did.
I think she did. I think she did, because
Yeah.
FBA had always been involved in this politically. So to me, saying that it was not expected, it's a little
No,
bit,
no,
I'm
no,
not.
no. But the politics of the country, well, not necessarily. I mean, I don't know. Maybe she did. Maybe she, but my
She
understanding
did.
is that she would have
Okay.
done the
The whole
play
point is
anyway,
we
no
have
matter
made
what the
connections with
outcome
the
of
youth.
the
We have made
politics
connections with the
were.
youth
Let
when
me,
they
wait,
come to
wait.
our shows, when they come out every weekend. We've made connections with them and they see us and they hear the stories and they connect and they understand because this show is about how we are living our lives and trying to just muddle through in this chaos.
Yes.
And
We're
so it's so
surviving
important
in
that we
this. Yes.
continue.
surviving in this moment. Yeah.
And I feel that through this theater, through this play, I think it could also encourage a lot of the younger Latinos to get involved in art. Like I
Hopefully.
myself, I always encourage the younger people through my workshops through education because I feel that the more education we have, the more opportunities we have to get out of poverty. At the same time, we could give back to our communities. So I think, the more exposure that the people have, the younger generation to theater, not just to reggaeton and to Bat Bunny, which I think is not even art in its own way, but that's an
Enrique,
all different story.
yeah,
But
Enrique, yeah,
I'm
go
sorry.
ahead. I'm sorry. Finish.
Yeah, I was gonna say that I feel that, when the younger generation is exposed to something more productive, more refined, I think they will have a better appreciation for their identity and who they are.
I think,
And just to
Enrique,
make it
you
clear,
are Enrique, you are active right now as a teacher, and you have that reach in as to with them. Let me say this: the foundation of the generation of any generation to get involved is not only to learn to read and write, but to love reading and writing. That's the
Exactly.
only way they're going to succeed. There's the only way they're going to be able to confront the truth, because they're not going to be able to be fooled anymore, because they're going to be able to read, to differentiate between truth and lies. And then once they start loving reading, they will discover the power of words. Words have power. And this is what we all did. All the members of this cast, if we had not been able to read or write, we would not be able to be where we are. But
Absolutely.
Tell them that the only way they can get out of poverty is by learning to read and write, but not only that, but to love the word. And then they be
Absolutely.
able to demand from their teachers, demand from everyone the best of them, and not to stand for anything less than better,
That is
than their best.
correct.
If they start accepting handouts from teachers who feel sorry for them, that's a big problem. I'm a,
Absolutely.
I'm a, I'm a
Let me
witness.
plug in
Well,
with what Carlos
anyway,
is saying
anyway,
because the time
I
is
have,
running out. So
yeah,
let me
yeah.
just plug it in super fast. So
I
we
only
have
have,
the last shows. The last
I only
shows
have,
are happening this weekend. So we have the Spanish show on Friday night, October 17. Then we have the English performance at 7 p.m. on October 18. And then the final Spanish night on October 19. So make sure that if you want to catch the Nona, make sure to plug it in. Go to bfa.org and or Instagram and make sure to watch these amazing artists.
Thank you. Well, anyway, I have less than 1 minute. So anyway, I
I
want to
just want
thank
to
everyone
clear
for
up
being on the show.
Thank you. Thank
Thank
And,
what I said
you.
about
and
Thank
Denise.
you to
Thank
your
you.
show. Thank you to your means and ways to reach the Latino people and
I
everybody else.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Have yourself a
Thank you.
wonderful evening,
Come to
everyone.
the
Take care.
show, please.
Yes, we'll
Thank
see
Definitely.
you
you.
at the show.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
You
Good
can
night.